Hi everyone, welcome to a tactics video. This time looking at the current state of Astra Militarum in the meta 40k 10th edition. We're about 2 weeks with the actual codex been officially out, so obviously you could buy this bad boy in the launch box set or off eBay like I did, but you can officially only start to use this codex in tournaments probably in the last 2 weeks. So let's have a look at what's shaping up as far as the statistics are concerned, and look at some tournaments to see what some of the top players who use Guard, what lists they were using. So as always, the place to start is 40kstats.goonhammer.com. As always, this is capturing all games that go into the 40k app, the battle app, which I recommend thoroughly if you want to use, because it's a fantastic way to track your progress throughout the game. Now, as said, this is from the 10th of February to the 12th of March, which is obviously today or yesterday. And the key thing here is that it's capturing all games of all nature. So if you're playing casual, competitive, I don't know, crusade or whatever you want to play, like even the more relaxed games, it's all the data is within this now. Whereas Guard, within this, ranked on win rate by percentage, you can see Demons, Knights, Custodes, Death Guard, Empress Children, interestingly already popping up with a strong win rate, or a bit or very recent. Death Watch, which I've played into and I know they're very, very good. They just got loads of stuff that does very well. But where is Astra Militarum? So Guard is down here, 48% win rate. Now, again, 48 is not terrible, but definitely within the balance of casual and competitive players that contribute to the stats here. We're definitely an army blowing the doors off here within this data set. Now, also what's great here is you can also break it down by detachment. So this actually is going back to the very beginning of, if I actually filter this, because that's back to the beginning of 10th edition. So if we go, put it to the same date range to have comparable data, we'll be able to see, obviously the numbers will drop, but actually you can see, yep, so Combined is the most popular, followed by Bridgehead. Combined Arms, Combined Regiment probably is the same thing, now, obviously with the change of the codex, but you've got Bridgehead is the next most popular. Hammer of the Emperor is popular, Siege is popular, Mech is less, and then Recon is the least popular. So as you eyeball these win rates here, you can see that in the casual scene, Bridgehead Strike is the most powerful, 53%, followed by Combined Arms with about 46, Hammer actually, oh, Hammer's 48, Mech is 51, and then Siege and Recon 46, and obviously Siege is significantly worse at 41. Now this kind of matches what we all sort of know and feel. Bridgehead feels very strong, and as we look at the competitive data in a second on 40k on statcheck.com, it gets even more sort of obvious. Combined Arms for me is always just a happy staple. I've tried Hammer of the Emperor and Mechanized Assault. I haven't tried these two yet. Mech Assault for me personally, as a sort of pretend competitive player, I can't deliver the damage with the transports jumping out, dudes jumping out to deliver the +1 to wound. I just couldn't apply that properly. And then whenever I play Hammer of the Emperor, I basically feel like I should just be playing Combined Arms, because lethal hits for Jeff is fantastic. It just seems to always work for me. So personally, I've tried a couple, and I'm just going back to Combined Arms or Combined Regiment, whatever it's officially called now. So quite boring, but I know. But so here you can see, again, Bridgehead is blowing the doors off. Combined Arms is sort of a happy medium. Hammer of the Emperor is shaping up cool, but so is Mech Assault, albeit, you know, we're talking about significantly less games here. But yeah, then I think, yeah, everyone was sort of saying Recon into the right matchups could do quite well, but if you go into melee focused armies, you'd struggle. It's only 82 games played by a variety of different players, and obviously Siege is feeling the least powerful, because I definitely think this detachment rule doesn't really buff anything. The rest of the rules obviously buff specific units, but Siege Regiment just gives you basically, you can choose either stealth from 3 units or strip covers, which is good, but it's not buffing the entire army in inverted commas, you know what I mean? Cool, so that's the casual data. Now if we get to the sweaty competitive data, and I definitely am a sweaty competitive player sometimes, is that you can see, now this is a bit confusing because from a data set point of view, firstly I've noticed this is saying last updated on the 19th of February, so I don't actually know how true this is, but it's then saying that it's got the Grotman's detachments, Codex Astra Militarum, Codex Eldari, which makes me think that probably this is just not a true number or a true date. But if assuming this is capturing all of the games, which has obviously got when the Guard Codex came out, and then what could be officially used in in tournaments, this is obviously real data. And as we look, as I say, this probably is what we think it is. So as we look at win rates, Demons, Custodes, Orcs, Space Wolves are back. Death Guard, Death Watch. Now, when we look at these, the top ones, I think Orcs in the casual scene aren't doing as well. Yeah, Orcs is 46, and further down the meta tables in the casual scene, but for some reason, in the competitive scene, they're doing much better. Space Wolves as well, but then I know Death Guard, Death Watch, Custodes, and Demons obviously are very strong in the casual scene and very strong in the competitive scene. Then you see Guard is one of the top armies in the competitive scene. And then as we just saw in the previous table, it's not in the casual scene. So there's clearly a disconnect between what casual players, including me, are doing and what the competitive players are doing. Now, again, this could be a data set comparison thing. So and again, it's such a great resource now if you like numbers and data, which I kind of do, is if you click on this, it blows up and drops down all the attachments. So you can see here, basically, that Bridgehead Strike is what is holding up, it's what's pulling the stats up, yeah? So it's saying Bridgehead Strike Force has got a 70% win rate, 69% win rate, which I'm fairly confident puts it as the most powerful detachment in the game right now. Now, if I click on it, it actually should populate over here to make it a bit, yeah, so there you go. Now, what's also interesting is player population. So it's saying the most popular detachment is obviously Bridgehead Strike at 43%. Now, of course, within this data set and this time frame, the codex has only been out for a certain period of time, and Bridgehead Strike and Combined Arms, Combined Regiment, Combined Arms, whatever you want to call it, has been at the longest as well. So you can see 43% played Bridgehead and 40-ish percent, 39% have played Combined Regiment and Combined Arms, with the other ones popping up in Hammer of the Emperor with 13%, and Recon Element, interestingly, has been played in the competitive scene. Now, I know that some of the patrons out there, Guardsman Easingwood, he played Mechanized Assault in the previous weekend at Manchester GT, and that's not appearing in this data. So maybe there is even more players using different regiments that isn't feeding through to this data yet. But the key call out, of course, is simply the fact that Bridgehead Strike is just blowing the doors absolutely off the competitive scene. Now, I think this is known for everybody out there in the Guard community. Bridgehead Strike is a very powerful detachment, and when used by very skillful captains or pilots, which definitely appears in the competitive scene, they can do some very nasty things on the tabletop. Then interestingly, Combined Regiment, Combined Arms, whatever it's called, you can see that probably the average here is probably called like 30%, which feels pretty low. That feels like it's really dropped off because, again, if we go to the casual data for Hammer of the Air, for Combined Arms, it's actually sitting a bit higher. So something, obviously, there's a disconnect between those playing casually, Combined Arms, Combined Regiment, whatever it's called, and now playing in the competitive scene. So there's obviously something happening here. And maybe it's a period of sort of adjustment, because obviously Bridgehead Strike largely stayed the same from the index into the codex. Obviously the reroll hits and reroll wounds were swapped for the Scion Death Blob, but fundamentally I think mathematically actually probably stayed the same because you had more hits potentially. Now you've got more quality wounds as opposed to more hits, if that makes sense. And Combined Regiment obviously changed to well, did it change actually? Because obviously the detachment rule didn't change, but then I guess, yeah, I don't know. I don't actually know if that makes sense what I'm saying here, but there probably is a period of adjustment because potentially maybe Scions don't feel as good in Combined Arms because they don't get the reroll hits. Obviously we're on objective, so that maybe is tuning things. But this feels like a pretty big disconnect between the competitive scene and the casual scene. I've said here, where it's doing a lot better, instead of like a 46% win rate versus what is quite low here. Now, then of course we can see 13% of players are playing Hammer of the Emperor, which is fantastic, and a 54% rate and a 50% win rate for Recon Element is great. So again, I think Recon Element, a disconnect is occurring again there. So it's 50%. Recon Element versus 46, okay, fine. But that's encouraging to see some of the other detachments besides Bridgehead and Combined Arms doing quite well. So yeah, that's, and I think we're due a balanced data slate soon. I hate to think what's going to happen to Bridgehead Strike. It makes me really worried. I mean, it's almost like Scions had a mini nerf, because when they went from the index to the codex, they went from, was it 60 points for 5 to 65? I think it's only 5 points, but that makes a def blob bigger. That makes Scions more expensive. You've taken maximum Scions. But like this is pretty drastic. Either they do the lazy path and just raise all the points for all of guard units, and that's going to really affect everyone else who doesn't play many Scions, including me. It'll be a bit annoying. Or I mean, this is a pretty nasty prediction, but do they basically change the +1 to wound to +1 strength when you deep strike? That would obviously tune it way back. But that'll be sort of, and again, I don't know where they are. I think they said at one point they do point adjustments every 3 months and rule adjustments every 6 months. I think I remember that here being said once. So if that happens, if they just go and raise all the points for guard, it's going to feel quite nasty for the rest of the player population. But again, unfortunately, this is just reality. It's when it's doing so strongly, they're just going to tune this right back, either through points or a major rule adjustment, which could be, yeah, because this is feeling very powerful. So that's interesting. Obviously, you can see that we, the Guard community, are trying new detachments. I've certainly tried Hammer of the Emperor, I've tried Mech Assault, but I just go back to Combined Arms, Combined Regiment. You can see that the win rates across the board, when we run this average across everything, is not crazy in the casual scene, but as stipulated here in the competitive scene, Guard is doing very well, with Bridgehead Strike just blowing the doors off. And obviously, that single detachment will be pulling up the overall average of Combined Arms, Combined Regiment doing quite poorly, with Recon and Hammer of the Emperor doing fine. So yeah, interesting to see this come through. This is the first time I said it, actually. Right, now let's go to some tournaments and see how people are doing with Guard and what lists they are taking. So I'm going to probably, if I see Bridgehead Strike pop, I'm probably going to move through quite quickly, because it's almost like we all know that. But okay, so the first in the Manchester GT, which happened last weekend, Manchester in the United Kingdom, had 300 odd players. We had Rowan play Astra Militarum. He went 4-0, and Jesus, look at some of these, 91 to 8, 85, 93. So he obviously did very strongly. And then his last game, he obviously, they both scored very highly. He lost at 90, so his opponent would get like 100. So let's see what Rowan got. And if he played Bridgehead, I will move through this quite quickly, because, okay, Bridgehead Strike, okay. 2 commanding card squads, Gaunt's Ghosts, 1, 2, 3, Scion command squads, Ursula Creed. And I'm moving through this quite quickly, because I think we all know that Bridgehead Strike is very powerful, and they all seem to be following a similar format. Which interesting. He's got Inquisitor Cotiers, probably for additional CP. But I'm going to move through Bridgehead Strike quite quickly, as I'm not that interested in it, to be honest. The next one is then I'm going to mispronounce this poor person's name. Garant, I think Garant Daniel. Let's have a clickety-click. Let's see what Garant played. So Garant played, okay, Recon Elements. Interesting. So Infantry galore, fantastic. He had a Cadian Castellan, Cadian Command Squad, Gaunt's Ghosts, Sly Marbo, Ursula Creed. I'm liking this already. Cadian Shock, 1, 2, 3. So 3 Cadian Shock, 1, 2 Jungle Fighters, 1 Mega Blob of Death Corps of Krieg, a squad of Armoured Sentinels ×2, Rough Riders ×5 ×2, Field Ordnance Battery, Kazkin ×3, Krieg Engineers ×2, and Ratlings, and then a Scout Sentinel, 3 individual Scout Sentinels, Tempestus Equivalents. Jesus. Ooh wee. So, yeah, maximum utilization of the detachment rule, taking obviously regiment, mounted or regiment, and also sentinels as well, which all benefit from the rule. So very interesting. Now, I'm assuming Garrett's a very good player, because this list lacks teeth, in inverted commas. So, if you need to do a lot of damage, I don't think this list will do. I mean, I don't know. I haven't played this detachment yet. So maybe there's some tricks and jiggery poking here which gets out the damage. But, if you've got literally no vehicles, and again, this is me as a relatively not the best player, is I would be really scared if I went into, say, someone who just had loads of dreadnoughts, for example. How do you manage that? Are you just basically playing a very sort of sharp very sharp mission control game where you just sort of deny primary and maximize secondaries and sort of ignore the fact your opponent could crush you. But if we ever look at his points, yeah, so 91, 88, 74, 90. Okay, so yeah, Garant's posting some very strong scores, and even the 74 loss. Obviously, that's not a big loss, because probably you don't know what his opponent got, but he obviously still performed very strongly. So, you know, Garant is illustrating here that despite not having sort of any maximum firepower, you can still do very well with this attachment, which is freaking awesome. So, and it's amazing to see he's got literally no armored vehicles besides armored sentinels. So, fantastic work, Mr. Garant. So next, we win that our fellow Antipodean, Mr. David Gaylard, has his own channel. Make sure we check out Firecast or Fireside, the 40K channel, a very good channel from a competitive point of view. So David, I know David played something a bit different here. He tried Mech Assault, so probably not the best, but it was fun. That's always fun, David. So what, it's got Ursa the Kree, it's got Lord Solar, Regal Dawn Tank Commander. Now, this is the thing, and David, if you watch this video, like, I don't know how you do this, man. I always joke, it's just like, how do you use these two models without a command squad? I do not know. And obviously he's a lot better than I am, but then he's just running a very sort of tight list. So Ursula, Lord Solar running around. It's then Cadian Shock. It's then Jungle Fight Heavy Weapon Teams, Mortars, times 3. Okay, so probably Ursula Critters babysitting them, just giving them +1 to hit all game. It's then Kazkin times 2. Krieg Engineers times 2. Krieg Flamer Heavy Weapon Teams times 2. Ogren by 3 of 3. Rattling Snipers. Lemon Rise Vanquisher Tank. 1, 2 Chimeras and 3 Taurox. Jesus, I mean, yeah, and again, if you've watched any of his tactics videos, he reviews this attachment. I think he nicely summarizes. It's almost like this is when you can just take like a list that makes no sense, because you just take loads of random stuff. And he's certainly taken, you know, 3 heavy weapon teams, which obviously screen the backfield, 2 Kazkin, 2 Engineers, Krieg Flamers, 2x3 Ogrons, 3x3 Ogrons, and Rattling Snipers. And definitely the trick that's appearing with Rattling Snipers is they can come out of a vehicle, shoot Sharp and Scarper back into the vehicle, back into the transport. So a very nice use of that. And obviously with Rattling Snipers, you can get the once per game lethal hits, which is nice, but also just flat 2 damage sniper rifles. You could precision with 10 dudes shooting, or 9 dudes shooting plus a tank stopper rifle. Probably pick off a character which is leading a large death blob. So a very effective use. And again, obviously David's a very, very good player, but he is illustrating that mechanized assault can do well in a tournament. And as we look at his performance, he basically did very strongly and had 2 draws here. So, you know, again, David's a very strong player, but good to see there is definitely play in mechanized assault. Now the next one, which is coming up in this first page, is then a guy called Ryan. So Shire Knights, wonder where that is in the UK. Let's have a look. So what is he playing? I believe, oh gosh. Okay, we can't interpret this. I'll do my best. I've seen this happen before. It's something when you add your list. So he's using Hammer of the Emperor. He's got Gaunt's Ghost, oh my god. Lord Solar. Oh man, I can't read this. Regal Dawn Tank. I think he's got 2 Jungle Fighters. I mean, I can't interpret this. It's just like trying to look at like coding if you're a programmer. But fine, okay, so he's using Hammer of the Emperor. I can't read this, but I do know Hammer of the Emperor, it's almost like the key things you're basically going for is the enhancements on the Regal Dawn Tank Commander. So here he's taken, I mean, I can't, Veteran Crew, okay, I can see that, so the +1, the reroll wants to hit, and the second one, Indomitable Steed, which is the +1, 6-up Feel No Pain. But again, I can't read this. I'm just getting a headache looking at this. But okay, so he's taken Hammer of the Emperor, and then if I expand the search, we'll get some more hits as well. But let's just quickly get at some other ones. So then that's Ryan, but actually that looks like it's it. Oh no, there we go. Charles. I've played Charles once actually. If you're out there, Charles, nice to see you doing well again. So 4-0. What did Charles play? He used Bridgehead Strike. Okay, so Gaunt's Ghosts, Militarum Tempestus times 3, with a standard sort of jiggery pokery for the rest of the stuff. Although he's got artillery and rough riders times 2, field ordnance battery times 1, heavy weapon teams, mortars times 2, Kazkin, Krieg engineers. Okay, it's a bit of a different take actually. Oh gosh, yeah, it's a bit of a different take completely. No, yes and no. But look, let's move to another tournament. I do also know, as I said, Guardsman Easingwood. He played in this tournament. He took Mech Assault. I think he went. I think he had one close loss. He actually had several close losses and two wins. So well done, Guardsman Easingwood. Right, let's now go on to Games of Westeros, which is a tournament in Sweden that had 100 players. So let's search Astra Militarum. Okay, so coming in ninth, we have Joel. Let's see what Joel played. I hope it's not Bridgehead Strike, because okay. Nerf me, por favor. How funny. Okay, they'll definitely get nerfed. Right, so Gaunt's Ghosts, Militarum Tempestus Command Squads. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through this because I'm just getting... they're almost... I mean, it's interesting. Okay, he's got 3 with the 5-man engineer squads for the mortal wounds to come out. But then Kazin, and 1... only 1 Scion Death Blob. But then Katajan Jungle Fighter heavy weapon teams times 3. Oh no, 1, 2. Okay, there we go. So basically 3 Scion Death Blobs. I think some Tempestus Aquilans. Yeah, okay, cool. But again, you know, doing very strongly for 4 wins, 1 loss. We then have a guy called Jeppa, obviously a Swedish name. Let's see what Jeppa took. Hammer of the Emperor, fantastic. All right, so we've got Rhaegal Tank Commanders times 3. Interestingly, no enhancements. He's kept his points for something else. That's it for headquarter units. So 3 Rhaegal Tank Commanders, Cadian Shock, Jungle Fighters, with 3 Taurox. Okay, it's then 1, 2, 3 Kazkin. Oh wow, Liminrus Punisher, 2 Vanquishers, and 2 Scout Sentinels. Oh, how does this work? Is that 2,000 points? Yes, it is. So 3 Rhaegal Tank Commanders to lay down the law. Bit of battle line to play, a bit of like mission play. Tauroxes, which take Kazkin times 3. Okay, so they're probably for the mid game skirmish. With a Punisher, with a Gatling Cannon, Punisher Gatling Cannon, and 2 Vanquishers and 2 Scouts. So it's quite a... This feels like quite a stat checky list in a sense. I mean, Rhaegal Dawns are hard for some armies to get through. Others will get through them easily. But then he's got 3 supporting the Minrus battle tanks and 3 Taurox with a little bit of jiggery pokery here. So very interesting to see that doing quite well in this tournament. So if I expand the search results, let's go down, because this is showing only the top 32 players. If we then go to 64, and if I redo the search, oh, 1 second, Astra, because I can't actually see the, oh, I can't do it. But let's see if there's any other guard players that popped up, because it looks like, okay, Marcus, he went 3-0, and what did Marcus play? Let's have a look, closest one. Okay, Bridgehead Strike Force. Okay, I'm not going to go through this because I'm a bit bored of that, unfortunately. Okay, so that is that one. Now on to 8TC, a 168 player tournament in the US somewhere. And forgive me, I don't actually know where exactly this was held, but somewhere in America. And the reason I'm looking at this is because Guardsman Medicae Rolf was a player, and this is a teams tournament. So do remember that within teams, there is a way to engineer the right matchup, but equally you can get poorly matched up and go into a match which is not what you'd hope for. But then, of course, you know, as I think about it, like, so StatCheck.40k stats doesn't capture team tournaments, I believe, because I sort of see team tournaments as a bit of a different beast. But definitely still it's representative of how it's going. And as we have a look for Astra Militarum, we can see, yep, Mr. Guardsman Medicae Luke Rolf did very well, 4-0, basically being the top guard commander. And I do know he did take Bridgehead Strike, so we're going to give that a bit of a look because he's obviously a patron. So he's taken detach only the best, Fire Zone Purge. Oh, Luke. Okay, cool. Very good. So he's got Cadian Castellan ×2, interesting. Cadian Command Squad ×2, okay, interesting. Right, Militarum Tempestus Command Squad ×3. One with Shroud Projector for no Overwatch, and Priority Drop Beacon, I believe, is Uppy Downy. Slime Marbo, very nice, very nice. Cadian Shock, 1 10-man, 1 20-man, 2 20-man. Jungle Fighters ×2, and then 1, 2, 3 10-man Scion squads will attach to the command squads. Attilan Rough Riders ×2 for big old fat blobs of 10. Field Ordnance Battery ×2, Rattlings and Aquilons. Wow, so Luke obviously has taken a very different approach to this. I think obviously the idea of taking Cadian Castellans with Cadian command squads attached to 20-man Cadians is a very unique approach to this, because obviously a lot of players will take Death Core to hold the center, and given they've got the med packs now ×2, you get back 1 plus D3 models. But Luke has gone for a different approach, which is basically taken these blokes where you get, you know, quite a few special weapons attached to a command squad. It gets even more special weapons, and then you get Cadian Castellan, so you're basically getting, say, front rank fire, second rank fire, reroll ones to hit, and also then sustained hits as well. So suddenly got a lot of decking coming out of it. So yeah, again, I said this a few times, like Bridgehead Strike for me, I'm sort of like, it's no news, but definitely we are getting a bit of variety in what works. Very interesting, Luke has taken Attilan Rough Riders, and I personally can't make them work, but obviously Luke can. And I think the way to treat them is simply just to clog up the tabletop, to just dominate space, deny your opponent moving all over the tabletop, because obviously these got quite long bases. When you've got 10 of them spread out, they can cover a massive footprint. So I'm guessing Luke, and obviously if you when you see this video, Luke, let us know in the comments, but I imagine the application of the Attilan Rough Riders is less about damage output and more about just being really bloody annoying and clogging up the tabletop, lots of little bodies looking glorious. And obviously then Field Ordnance Batteries is interesting, as opposed to go for mortar teams, which you get a lot more sort of firepower out. I'm definitely finding, as I used to mortar teams in Combined Arms, is actually maybe Field Ordnance Battery is the better shout, because at least if you're playing into 2 wound typical armies, such as Space Marines, one of these goes through killing a Space Marine, but if one mortar shell goes through, putting them on a wound, which is obviously removing a model. So obviously these get real ones to hit, but very interesting to see Luke do very well with the Bridgehead Strike Force, which actually, as I look at it, is quite different to the standard template that we're seeing out there. So well done, Mr. Guards and Medicaid, Rolf, fantastic work. Now let's have a look at some other top players in this team's tournament. So we then got David, Mr. Clark. He went 4-0 as well, fantastic performance. And he used the detachment of, Combined Arms, fantastic. This is my favorite. So Gaunt's Ghost, Regular Dawn Tank Commanders ×2. Okay, then Field Ordnance Battery. Okay, 10 Kazkin, Krieg Engineers, Tempestus Science 5-man squad, 1, 2, 3 Luminous Battle Tanks, 2 Exterminators and 2 Taurochs. Wow, okay, interesting. Very interesting. So he's gone quite take heavy, like a total of, Jesus, 7 tanks, 2 Rogal Dawn Tank Commanders, 5 Luminous Battle Tanks, with a little bit of skirmish play, Scions, Krieg Engineers, some Kazkin, and no battle line. Interesting. So again, obviously not being at the tournament, is maybe they were able to control the matchups for David and put him into sort of list which wouldn't respond well into such a tank heavy list, because this is feeling quite stat checky. But again, interesting to see that he didn't opt for Hammer of the Emperor. But then as I've played Hammer of the Emperor, and again, any of you have tried it as well, is that I actually struggle to maximize that attachment rule. Sure, you can make things move very quickly, but then literally all I'm really spending it on, the CP on, is driving through walls and advance and shoot, which, and again, I know from my experience with 40k is that you can never rely upon a tank to kill something when you need it to. Granted, Luminous Battle Tanks get organic rerolls to hit and a 4 rerolls an objective. I've had numerous instances where one of these deletes literally doesn't kill anything. But obviously David made it work, so very satisfying to see Combined Arms, which could be played as Hammer the Emperor has done very well in this team's tournament. Okay, last one then is a fellow called Chris from Super Cool Dudes. Fantastic team name, very good. And if I close this to get this open, let's have a look. So he's taken Combined Arms. All right. RIP demo cannons, absolutely, mate. They are dead in the water now. Although, interestingly, Demolisher cannons on the Baneblade is still D6 plus 3. So if you want to play Demolisher cannon, play a Baneblade, which is not going to work, unfortunately. So then you've got, okay, Cadian Command Squad, Gaunt's Ghosts, Rogue Dawn Tank Commander ×2, Ursula Creed. Okay, this is basically exactly what I'm playing right now. Cadian Shock, a big blob, a small blob, Chimera ×2, Krieg Engineers ×2, Krieg Flamers Heavy Weapon Team, Exterminator, Vanquisher, 2 Vanquishers, Ogrins ×2, and a Scout Sentinel. Okay, interesting. My take on Combined Arms at the moment is I still have like 4 battle line, maybe 5, only 4 actually, yeah, but then I have like 2 Limerice battle tanks and 2 Rogue Dawn tank commanders with just sort of little platoons on the side, but this is feeling quite a balanced list. It's almost like it feels like obviously with new units, Krieg Engineers and Krieg Weapon Squads, but it's feeling kind of like a pre-codex Combined Arms list. So, okay, let's wrap it up because it's been probably half an hour of me rambling. But very interesting to see how the things are coming out. As said, in the competitive scene, Bridgehead Strike is just blowing the doors off. We have got the early view on sort of Hammer the Emperor is performing quite well. It is, okay, you can see it's only a small amount of games, 23 games with 2 players. Recon Element, I don't know why it's saying 0, but then Combined Arms. So again, we can probably definitely bet on the fact that in a couple of weeks or whatever it's going to be, maybe it could even do tomorrow actually because tomorrow's a Thursday, that Bridgehead Strike will be significantly adjusted either via points or some significant changes to the army rule or the attachment rule, which could be a bit of a shame because it's such a good attachment, but obviously it's blowing the doors off versus other players. So how are you finding it out there? Let me know how which of the regiments you're responding to best, be it any of the new ones, or Combined Regiment, Combined Arms, whatever it's called these days, and how you've gone out there in the tournament scene as well. So, as I said, fantastic to hear about Guardsman Easingwood going into Manchester, the Manchester GT, with his mechanised assault army, and then also Guardsman Medicae Rolf doing very well at ATC in the US, being the top place guard commander, and actually coming 15th from a player placing point of view. But then his team, I'm going to butcher this, forgive me, Luke, Garros Rizma Scholar, apologies, Luke. How did they go? Let's see how his team went. Where are you blokes? 12th, okay, 12th. So yeah, very strong performing team. And obviously Luke doing very well as well. So actually, yeah, probably finishing mid-pack from a team point of view, but Luke being a lead player in his team. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know how you're going out there in the new Codex world. Love to hear what you're finding the best to use, what's winning the most games. As said, I'm basically going back to Combined Regiment. I've tried Hammer the Emperor, Mechanized Assault. I've also tried Bridgehead Strike, and I'm just like, I can't make this work. I'm too boring. I'm too basic. Just keep me on the good old-fashioned thing. So yeah, let me know what you think. Any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to support my channel, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing, joining my Patreon platoon, or becoming a channel member. I've also had printed via the Dice Baron in the US some lovely custom dice. So I've got them with my channel logo, and also you can't see in the light, but they're also just like a light camouflage as well. So check the description below to get in touch with me if you want to buy those. Simply send me an email, send you a PayPal link, and I'll send it to you anywhere around the world. So super thanks to all my supporters, be it the Patreons, channel members, or simply you as the subscribers. It always motivates me to make more videos in the Astra Militarum variety channel. That is my Guardsman Hannon channel. Let's get your bayonet sharp, lascar and oiled. Faith from the Emperor strong. Patreon platoon, sound off. Tank Commander Glenn. Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten. Tank Commander Mitchell. Lieutenant Burke Nilsson. Lieutenant Smith. Colour Sergeant DuPont. Sergeants Adal, Scott, the Colonel Merrill, Veteran Gibson, Hall, Lundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Easingwood, Hills, Malik, Nitin, Nguyen, Medicae, Rolfe, Tonkin, Conscript England, Evangyan, Goodwin, Honorary Members Bolgram King, Syker Smith, Sion Gaylard, Aquilin Nassim.